Please state your name for the court, spelling your last.
Well, my name is Tracy Menetos. That's M-I-N-E-T-O-S.
Are you currently employed?
Unfortunately, not at the moment. My husband, well, soon to be ex, and I used to own this adorable little bar right in the middle of downtown, but we had a really rough year last year and we lost the bar.
So where are you currently living?
Right now, I live with my older brother Chase. When Pietro decided to divorce me, he took the money, the yacht, and our house.
And how long have you been living there?
For about a year now, yeah, for about a year. Daddy married Chase's mom when we were in high school, so we're practically related. He's been nice enough to give me a home while I try to sort out the mess that is my life, and it's just been really great.
So how often do you two see each other at the house?
Well, during the first part of the year, he was home pretty often, and I have to admit that I loved it. You know, when our parents first got married, we didn't really talk at all. He was busy looking at his law colleges, and I was captain of the cheer team, so I was so appreciative to finally have a real brother-sister relationship with him.
So, do you know where your brother worked?
He was the chairman for the Midlands Casino Board, or the Midlands Gambling Commission, I think is the actual title, but he worked with the casinos here and did a lot of stuff like that. He seemed to really love his job. He got a lot of free stuff too, so that seemed to help. He didn't win, a guy gave him this really nice diving trip, he got free hockey tickets, and one guy gave him a $400 bottle of wine. And I mean, let me tell you, Pietro's family owned a vineyard in Tuscany, so I was glad that Chase finally got to try the real stuff.
Thank you, Ms. Menetos. Now, you said that Chase loved his job. Besides getting free stuff, do you know what exactly he did? What his projects were?
Oh, the last year that I've been living with him was actually pretty important to him. The commission was voting on to give an entrepreneur in Midlands a new casino license.
And did you ever talk to him about it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I was interested because successful businesses meant successful business owners. So, of course, I asked who was applying.
And who was applying?
Chase said that Avery Bancroft probably would be, since Bancroft had actually called him as soon as the commission announced the license, but that a few other people with deep pockets probably would as well.
Did Chase ever say anything about the voting process? How they'd select one of these people with deep pockets?
Oh, okay, so Chase had always told me about these two guys on the board, the two other guys that were there with him, and they seemed to just hate each other. And so Chase would always be the deciding vote, you know, between them, and I think he liked the little bit of a power trip he got from it, to be quite honest.
All right, now, a moment ago you mentioned Avery Bancroft. Do you know who that person was?
Yes, Miss Bancroft owned a casino. I knew because Chase told me. And then also because she came to our house for drinks around Thanksgiving. It was a little bit weird because Chase isn't normally one to entertain, you know, especially with the ladies. So I went with it though because I knew if she could, you know, like hook a sister up with this new casino, at least she had a bar in her casino and I could maybe get a job as a bartender.
Really? Now, how did this meeting go?
Well, they just kind of sat down and were discussing business stuff, talking about the plans for the casino. I don't really understand all that businessman talk, like who can pay attention when they're wearing Armani? But I do remember Bancroft saying that she would be happy to go to the extra mile, and my brother winked at her.
Really? Now, did anything happen after that?
Not really. She actually left pretty quickly, and I was a little bit bummed because I had just made the girl a drink, and she did not even tell me she liked it.
Okay, now, to your knowledge, did Chase ever have similar meetings with other applicants?
Not that I know of, and if he did, it was never at our house. But I did find a note some months later that like maybe it was related to that sort of thing.
Could you tell the court about that note and why you thought it was related?
Well, it was on a napkin that I found in Chase's pockets. You know, he left stuff in there, and I'd take them out before doing laundry. Oh, sorry. It's so weird, you know, I haven't done laundry since Pietro hired Consuela, so I'm still getting used to all that domestic goddess stuff.
And would you recognize this note if it was shown to you now?
Oh, yeah.
Wish to approach opposing counsel?
Commissioner Brandon.
And wish to approach the witness?
Go ahead.
Now, what have I just handed you?
This is a photocopy of the napkin that I found in his pocket.
Is it fair, accurate, and unmodified since you last saw it?
Yeah, it looks the exact same.
At this time, the prosecution moves to admit the exhibit into evidence.
At this time, the defense would like to object to hearsay.
Go ahead and explain.
Yes, Your Honor. The prosecution is offering that statement as a matter of, it's an out-of-court statement being used to prove the matter asserted, therefore making it hearsay.
Response?
The prosecution claims exception 803.3, which it specifically is for such things as motive, intent, or plan. We believe that this note shows an intent to have some kind of transaction, a yes vote for the dollar amounts listed on the napkin, $150,000 and $250,000. This shows an intent, therefore it is a hearsay exception by 803.3.
Any response?
Yes, Your Honor. This witness can do nothing to show that this implies intent, and therefore is not an exception to 803.3.
In that case, I believe that opposing counsel would be objecting to relevance, as he does not believe this note can sufficiently show what we are claiming it as. We would also remind the court that the standard here is not beyond a reasonable doubt, but preponderance. If there is a reasonable enough belief that this qualifies, then it falls to the jury to decide whether or not this accurately shows anybody's intent or plan.
Overruled.
Yes, Your Honor.
The exhibit is indeed admitted. Commissioner approach the bench. And here's a courtesy copy for your honors.
Thank you very much.
Now, could you read for the court what it says on the note, Ms. Veneos?
Oh, so the word yes is written, and then an equal sign, and then 150K, and that's crossed off, and 250K is wrote right below it.
Thank you. Now, did you have any reason to believe Chase might have something to do with a sum like that?
No, I mean, I don't know, maybe it was what he owed in taxes. I mean, it was around tax day, but my husband always did all that crazy number stuff at Chuggy's, and if I'm gonna be honest here, I use wet tax, so I have no idea. Although, there had been several times where he'd come home with these briefcases, and I got really nosy, and when I looked, they were full of money.
Really? Now, what are these briefcases full of money like?
They were black, like they were black. They had cash inside, obviously, and they looked brand new when he brought them home. But I mean, what's brand new? It's not like there's a Gucci here in Midlands.
Did you ever talk to Chase about this?
I did ask him, why he had so many of the briefcases, and he just said it was the price of doing business. I was so unsure on how he was able to buy me stuff that like Daddy and Pietro were able to, because Chase's mom married Daddy for a reason, so I don't know how he had that much money being on a commissioner's salary.
Did you have any reaction or response to all of this?
Well, I was a little bit worried about him, he had been at the casino a lot, I found poker chips in his pockets, and he came home very late some nights, and I decided to go look in his office to see if anything was weird, and I know that was rude. Daddy had the same rule, don't ever enter the office, but I really was just looking out for my brother.
Did you find anything weird in that office?
I found a bank statement for $200,000, like a bank deposit, I think. I mean, don't get me wrong, at first I was pretty excited because oh, I'm back in my element, but then I realized that I had no idea where Chase would have gotten that kind of money, and that's what worried me.
Permission to approach opposing counsel.
Go ahead.
And the witness.
Go ahead.
What is this that I've just handed you, page 2?
This is the bank statement that I found in Chase's office.
Is it fair, accurate, and unmodified since you last saw it?
It looks like the one I found.
At this time, we move to admit the exhibit into evidence.
Yes, Your Honor. Defense would like to object to hearsay.
All right, explain please.
Yes, the bank statement is an out-of-court statement being used to prove the truth of the matter asserted.
Response?
At this time, we would like to direct the court to the first page of this exhibit. While this first page isn't being admitted into evidence, it is a note by the custodian of the document. That allows it to qualify under 803.6. Under all the criteria of 803.6, it is a regularly kept record of business, and it's therefore a hearsay exception.
Response?
If you would like, I can give you your courtesy copy now so you can see for yourself.
Okay. Any response?
May I confer with co-counsel, Your Honor?
Sure.
Yes, Your Honor, I do stand by my argument that that it is still hearsay under the rules of evidence, because it is being used to prove the truth of matter asserted.
If I may be heard?
Yes.
The prosecution isn't claiming this isn't hearsay. What we are saying is that it is hearsay, but there is an exception, 8036, by which it is admissible.
All right, I'm gonna overrule your objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Nados, after seeing this bank statement, did you have a chance to ask Chase to explain?
I wish I did. Everyone thinks money is corrupting and makes you lazy, but it is really an amazing thing. But I didn't get to talk to Chase that night, and the next morning he was arrested. And, you know, I don't want my brother to be in trouble. You know, I love him, but I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to help the police as best I can to figure that out.
Thank you, Ms. Nados. No further questions.